So, the Canucks have the Hurricanes today. And it's going to be an interesting one when you consider the Hurricanes and their schedule. They're on a back-to-back, second half of a back-to-back. They've played a lot of games lately, so you know that Vancouver is going to find themselves a way to blow it. But either way, I wanted to dive into some of the extra trade chatter in regards to the top two paid forwards on the team, because it's been a big story as of late. What's going to happen with Petey and Miller? Where does this go? And I wanted to refer to, firstly, some stuff from Halford and Bruff, as well as some TSN news. Actually, we can start out with the TSN news because this was posted earlier this morning, and I think it's a more, let's just say, juicy story. Because earlier this morning, Steve Dryden went out there and posted the NHL's trade board, their first trade bait board of this season. And as we had talked about earlier today in the Pastrnak-Marchand video, it's looking pretty Vancouver-like at the top. Because the TSN trade board, from 10 down all the way to 1, goes as follows. At 10, you have Yanni Gourde of the Kraken. At 9, you have Trent Frederick of the Bruins. 8, Scott Laughton of the Philadelphia Flyers, followed up by Elias Pettersson of the Pittsburgh Penguins. At number 6, Will Borgen of the Rangers. Number 5, David Savard of the Canadiens. Number 4, John Gibson of the Anaheim Ducks. Number 3, Brock Nelson of the New York Islanders. And skipping past number 2, you have 2 players sharing the number 1 spot. It is Elias Pettersson of the Canucks and Miller of the Canucks. Let's go out there and read. Is Canada's third biggest city enough for Elias Pettersson and Miller? We're about to find out. If recent history is any indication, something could happen sooner rather than later, even with the March 7th trade deadline being still 8 weeks away. Vancouver's reportedly feuding forwards Pettersson and Miller are at the epicenter of significant swap speculation. Last year, the Canucks were one of the first teams to get in on the trade market, trading for Calgary's Elias Lindstrom on January 31. Will history repeat itself with the Canucks making another early move? Pettersson and Miller share top billing at number 1 on TSN's trade bait list, and that's not to say that the two Canucks will be traded, or for that matter, a guarantee either will be traded, but at this moment they are top of the charts in trade talk. Pettersson has been connected with Carolina among other teams. The Silky Swede has been injured this season, but with 10 goals and 28 points in 34 games, he has not played up to his $11.6 million AAV contract. That has 7 more years to run. Miller took a leave of absence that stretched from the second half of November into the first half of December, but he is back and has season totals of 29 points in 30 games played. Now here's the thing when it comes to Miller and Petey being 1 and 2. We've been hearing a lot, or not 1 and 2, 1 and 1, excuse me. We've been hearing a lot of different versions of what's going on based off of different insider information. Rick Dhaliwal yesterday on Halford and Bruff in the Morning had a lot of really good quotes, just giving the scoop as to how peculiar this is, what direction this is heading. He talked about how rare it is to have a team have both of their top 2 centers available on the trade market. And because of that, teams have to be a little bit careful. Teams that are looking at Pettersson, teams that are looking at Miller, they have to do their homework as to the entire controversy itself. Try to figure out, okay, are we getting a locker room cancer by trading for a Miller or a Pettersson or whatever? Why is there a rift in Vancouver? What's going on here? Is it just a lack of cohesion with the personalities or what? We got to make sure that if we trade for a guy that we're not bringing on a problem onto our own locker room. Then you had yourselves the conversations as well about Pearson and Tanev and Luke Shen and these veteran guys in Vancouver that were able to soothe out the relationship between Pettersson and Miller, guys that unfortunately are no longer there on the team. And then you had this quote as well from Dhaliwal, that he had spoke with a team who spoke with the Canucks about both Petey and Miller, and Dhaliwal says that team felt the Canucks were pushing more for a Miller trade rather than a Pettersson trade. This, of course, doesn't really align with all the information we had seen out of Frank Seravalli. Here's a tweet from January 7th. Seravalli saying that he doesn't have Miller on his trade board because he doesn't think teams are serious about going after him amid the turmoil. Whereas Elias Pettersson is young enough and has a ceiling that teams are extremely interested regardless. Maybe this should be a hint. And then a reply to this tweet cites a Chris Johnson quote in regards to Pettersson. It seems the Canucks are serious about moving him. Multiple teams are believed to have interest. So it is really strange, you know? We're seeing that word being tossed around there. Serious. The Canucks are serious about trading one of these guys. And it was even discussed on Halford and Bruff in the morning, too, with Dhaliwal. And Dolly pretty much went out there and said that, yeah, like, teams need to know that the Canucks are serious about this so that the Canucks get better offers. If it's the media, national media folks, Sarah Bailey or Johnston or whatever, going out there and talking about the Canucks being serious about trading an Elias Pettersson, of course, teams need to know that the Canucks are serious so that they actually give their best foot forward and the Canucks aren't getting lowballed here. As for the comments about the Canucks potentially pushing Miller more in a trade, yeah, okay, they have to make it known that they're serious about trading Miller too. So this has gotten so out of control, and I think now we're sort of reaching a little bit of a lull point in regards to fan sentiment. Like, they talked about this on the radio as well, on multiple shows, like, oh, why do you keep on talking about this Pettersson-Miller stuff? Why is the media feeding into it? Even I've been getting comments on my videos saying, hey, why do you keep talking about it? Like, you talk all this talk about the Vancouver media, whether or not they're toxic or whatever, like, hockey-crazed market, oh, it's affecting the players, it's affecting this, it's affecting that. Lego, why are you making comments about it too? And look, I've said this a bunch. I'm media trained. I went to radio school. I have sort of a profile on this platform, and the no BS answer as to why we keep talking about this is because people keep listening to it. It is literally my job to make videos that people watch, and I get money from that. January ad rates on YouTube are the worst by far out of any month in the year, and so I gotta do my best to try and self-sustain and live properly so that I can continue having an income, and so making videos on whatever people are talking about is usually the way to do that. And it helps here that it's like, yeah, we have more information, there's more stuff coming out every single day. What do you think, people are just gonna not talk about it? I say that the Vancouver media is crazy, but that's because they are. Does that mean that it's a bad thing, though? No, I don't think so. I think it's a good thing that people in this city care about their sports. They want to know what's going on. People are asking me in real life. People are going up and asking whenever I play video games with people, hey, what's going on with the top 2 superstars on the team? Obviously, I don't know personally. I'm just reading what everybody else is reading. But that's the difference between me and these insiders. You know, I'm not really somebody who's in the know. I just regurgitate stuff. And I've been very clear about my position in this media landscape from the very beginning. I am no different from you. Assuming you are not a National Hockey League player, or you that are listening to this video, you're not some analyst or insider or whatever, I am literally just a fan. Like everybody else, who happens to have a YouTube channel and whose full-time job happens to be making videos on that channel. So for me, whatever is talked about, that's what we'll talk about, and that's just how it goes. So yeah, nice for TSN to include Miller and Pettersson as the shared #1 asset on their trade bait board in 2025, and nice for Rick Dhaliwal to go out there and talk more about this in the media as well. They got a job to do, you know? Whatever they hear, they're going to talk about it. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about all this extra Vancouver, JT Miller, Elias Pettersson talk? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.